I'm white, I'm British, and I'm a proud Yorkshire woman. So I haven't felt like a fish out of water because of my race or ethnicity. But there have been a number of times in my life when I felt like I don't belong and I don't understand the cultural norms. The first example was when I moved schools when I was 10. We moved homes from North Nottinghamshire to South Yorkshire, all of 20 miles. But I went from a small girls only Church of England primary school to a large state co-ed primary school in Rotherham. And I was teased mercilessly because of my accent. I sounded posh because in North Nottinghamshire, although it's only 20 miles away, it's a much softer accent than a South Yorkshire accent in Rotherham. But I quickly learned to fit in, and that meant adopting a strong Yorkshire accent. And that ironically had an impact later on in my life, where I nearly didn't get a job because somebody at the firm felt that clients wouldn't appreciate that strong Yorkshire accent. The irony of it, of course, is that in some ways my upbringing and my accent helped me to engage with certain types of people, particularly some of the trustees and my client base and some of my colleagues. My second sense of being a fish out of water was when I went to university. I was very lucky and I won a place to the Queen's College, Oxford. It was the first year that women were allowed into the college. So there were 15 of us in over 300 students. And the only visible female role model around was the domestic bursar, and she certainly didn't make us feel welcome. And there were a number of the academics and the other students who didn't really want us there. Indeed, some of my friends heard from men at other colleges that they felt that they'd taken the places of their friends. But it toughens you up, and it made the 15 of us a very united group. We're still in touch today. So it emphasizes to me the importance of having great networks. And it meant that I could cope in a male-dominated industry like the investment industry. My third example was when I moved to Watson's in the early 1990s. It was then an actuarial firm, and there was only one female partner. I couldn't be a partner because I wasn't an actuary. That was the law in those days before limited partnerships became available. And I was given the title of executive manager. So right from the beginning, I had a different title and I felt different from the majority. And I can remember walking into the partners' lunch that took place every month and just seeing this sea of grey suits and people talking actuarial or talking about golf or flying planes, none of which I had anything in common with. And in fact, I found the whole thing so daunting that I stopped going to those lunches, and I missed out on a lot of the networking that went with that. So what have I learned from all of those experiences? Well, I think the first thing I've learned is that understanding what it feels like to be an outsider, it gives me a certain amount of empathy, and it makes me sort of think about what it must feel like to be a minority in a particular group situation. I think the second thing that it's taught me is that we all have an opportunity to welcome people who might feel a bit like an outsider into our organisations, whether that's taking them for a cup of coffee to check in on how they are, or making sure that in meetings you invite everybody to contribute and give their views. We can all play a part in creating that sort of inclusive culture. And the third thing that I think it's taught me is not to make assumptions about people. You know, we all get stereotyped along the way, but by really getting to know people and what motivates them and what they need, we can create that kind of inclusive culture. Treating everybody as individuals, I think, is the key. Thank you very much.